What's up, G-Fusion fans? This is Phil, and welcome back to another video. Today is February 21, 2022, and it has exactly been 30 years since Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger started airing in Japan. And we all know that it became popularly known in the West after being changed or adapted into what we would later call Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Now, of course, this video is going to focus on Zyuranger commemorating its 30th anniversary. So if you're a fan of either Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, or if you're even a Zyuranger fan, or even if you love both Super Sentai and Power Rangers in general, this is the video for each and every one of us. So, of course, I'm going to talk about in this video my opinions on the show. So, it's basically kind of a review, and having watched it and then comparing it to Power Rangers. Well, of course, there's going to be some comparisons. So, what I like about the show and what I didn't like about the show. So, anyways, I'll talk about a lot of different stuff, but I hope you guys are in for the ride. So, let's start with the actual review of the show. Now, I actually have never seen the entirety of Zyuranger. I have seen a few episodes, especially when Toei officially uploaded it on their channel. So, I have seen at least some important episodes. I mean, the rest of them are just, generic, but I think it's still okay. But what I think about Zyuranger in general is that following the previous Sentai, which was Jetman, so Jetman became kind of mature, so its target audience kind of broadened, or at least the producers think that, to boost popularity of the Super Sentai series, because it basically bombed after 5-man. So, in order to keep the franchise going, they went with a trendy style that would be loved, I guess, by a wider audience, not just children. So, Jetman became something that was more targeted to adults. And with that, so with Zyuranger, we actually go back to a more kid-friendly setting, and in almost all of the episodes, children would be prominently featured. Now, of course, there are like children that work closely with the Zyurangers, and at least one of them is technically a child. So we have Tiger Ranger Boy. But like almost each week, so along with a Monster of the Week format, we also have like a Child of the Week format, if I may say so, because like I've said, due to the kid-friendlier nature. So again, we're back to the kid-friendly nature of the Super Sentai series, so targeting kids, which, of course, that was the intent of the franchise all along, to be a kids show. So having children featured more often in various situations. So yeah, I guess they went back to that. But whether it works or not in Zyuranger's favor, well, it's up for you to decide. So for me, I just understood that it's what they were going for. I neither liked it nor hated it. I was just like, oh, I see. So that's what you want, and okay. So I did watch. So again, at least some important episodes. Like, of course, the first 2 episodes, and how the Zyurangers got their personal weapons. And, of course, who could forget the episodes where Burai was involved? Now, of course, Burai, aka Dragon Ranger, so would be quite famous, you could say, for many different reasons. So whether you're looking at it from a Ranger perspective or from a Power Rangers perspective, but yeah, so Burai set the motion for especially Sixth Rangers moving forward, and I think the mech designs very nice. I actually think so. When I was you know watching Power Rangers as a kid, I wanted the Megazords. They look really nice, and I do think that Daijujin, aka Megazord, is still one of the best, mechas, or one of the best robots in the entirety of all Super Sentai and or Power Rangers history. I just really love it. Like, it's become iconic, and you know what? I'm actually going to get my Juran here. There we go. Quite a bit, quite dusty, but look at this guy. I mean, obviously, Juran is a homage to Ranger, his design, based on the Tyrannosaurus, and when he transforms, he looks like Daijujin. So, yeah, so that's how really impactful Ranger was. I guess Ranger also became impactful because of the fact that it was the first Super Sentai show that was turned into Power Rangers, thus spreading Super Sentai throughout the world, especially with the age of the internet that would come. Although yes, when it comes to Ranger, I think it also became the gateway for other non-Japanese audiences, especially Americans. So I believe that's how most Americans have gotten into Super Sentai as well. I understand that because especially in our generation, 90s kids, if you feel me, we were the ones who saw Power Rangers first, or at least it depends, because 1993, right? It was imported to or imported to America, or exported to America, I guess. So it was then it became Power Rangers, but as a Filipino, we would get the Power Rangers around 1994. So we're kind of late to the game by about a year, but again, our generation grew up with Power Rangers, so for us, seeing Ranger, or seeing how Power Rangers came from Ranger, was a very interesting experience indeed. So again, not only Westerners in general, especially Americans, but for us Filipinos, and probably, of course, other countries that have had Power Rangers aired on their TVs. So when watching Ranger became their avenue for starting with Super Sentai, and I understand there are other people who saw Super Sentai through other seasons, through other seasons of Power Rangers, and then watching their Super Sentai counterpart, and then watching Ranger a bit later. I understand that there were such people, but either way, I think Ranger is still one of the most talked about Sentai shows amongst international fans. Again, not only fans of Power Rangers, but also Super Sentai. Again, fans who are outside of Japan. So that's, I think, the cultural impact of Ranger that they had, not only in Japan, although ironically it appears that Ranger wasn't really that well received. So compared to its predecessor. So Jetman became extremely popular, but once they switched back to targeting kids as their main audience with Ranger, of course, there would be a noticeable drop in viewership. Although, definitely much better than Five Man a couple of years before that. So, yeah, it's an interesting case of a Super Sentai that was not really that well received in Japan, but when it became apparent that Mighty Morphin Power Rangers would blow up in popularity, so the like influx of fans, especially again from abroad, uh, watching Ranger. So it kind of it's for me what you would call like a sleeper hit. So they probably Toei didn't know how popular Ranger would become due to the global audience coming in. So yeah, I think in that way, I do see the importance of Ranger. Now, let's talk about things that I like and I didn't like about Ranger. So let's talk about things that I like first. Now, of course, the concept is fresh. I think it's the first time that we would see heroes that were not really from the modern human society, and they were ancient heroes who lay dormant for millions of years apparently, and they they lived lives that were very much different from ours, of course. So again, the concept is fresh because if you look at previous seasons, so you have organizations that are secretly created by the government or even the United Nations, with Go Ranger, for example. So a lot of them used technology that was very much modern for the time, or sometimes like alien technology from the likes of Flashman. But nonetheless, the heroes are still Earthlings from the modern day. But we do see for the first time heroes with a more ancient origin. Now, so I have mentioned earlier, so one of the things that I like were the mechs. Again, Jiran here for illustration purposes, but I honestly think that even with the combinations of the Daijujin and the other mechs in the show, so they still really look awesome in my opinion. Again, this may be a bit biased because of Power Rangers. So yeah, I still like the mechs. So the suits in general, they're okay. I do remember that their mouths are kind of distinct, and actually, for Sentai suits with mouths on them, I still think that Ranger is I don't know, like the one that pulled it off the best. So that's just my own personal opinion. Like if you look at other Super Sentais with like mouths on them, it was an interesting design choice, but again, it's something that I don't necessarily complain about. I mean, there have been other Sentais that have mouth-like pieces on them. Battle Fever J. They were the first ones, basically. But yeah, I think Ranger until now has been the best in that regard. So now music, what I like is the opening theme. I mean, it's very catchy. Of course, the singer Kenta Sato was also a Red Turbo in Kosok Sentai Turbo Ranger, and of course, he is also the singer of that show as well. So it's still definitely one of the more memorable Super Sentai theme songs because of how popular Ranger became internationally. So, many people have been spreading it around like a meme. But yeah, definitely something that's recognizable to both Super Sentai and Power Rangers fans alike. Now, moving on to stuff that I don't like. So, let's start with the music. So, I liked the opening theme, but I honestly did not like the ending. Like, I understand how campy Ranger is, but like, it's not really my cup of tea, to be completely honest. Uh, I don't want to call it the worst, but definitely it's something that I would say pass on, But yeah. Now, another thing that I don't like, so uh, if you look at the team, right, they're composed of members from the dinosaur tribe. So their adventures are seen from their perspective. Now, I would like to compare them to something like Gokaiger. So you have the main or the core five members as basically aliens, with at least one Earthling guy, aka Gokai Silver, as the only Earthling in the team, right? Now, with Ranger, so all of them, like I've said, are from those dinosaur tribes, but none from the present day. So they don't have a member who's different from them. Like they're all from the same origin, they have the same powers. So there's no additional perspective, right? So Guy, for example, so again, talking about the Gokaigers here, so he provides an interesting outlook because not only is he, of course, a Super Sentai fan or a Super Sentai fanboy, but he is also the only human in the team. So let's say the Gokaigers, proceed fighting an enemy, but they don't know what costs there may be, what risks there may be if they continue fighting a certain enemy in a certain way. But with his different perspective, Guy can provide additional insight so that they, so basically, like if he disagrees, he has to tell the team like you can't do that because this is gonna something bad is gonna happen, things like that. So without that kind of perspective in Ranger, it doesn't really feel nice, or I don't know, it's not something that I do like. And because again, they're all fantasy characters basically, humans that have evolved from dinosaurs and transform into superheroes in spandex, riding giant dinosaur robots, fighting giant monsters and whatnot. They are heroes that really are difficult to relate to. So because of their experiences, although for some reason they're not surprised at how much humanity has changed since, they were in slumber for millions of years. So I don't think, it's a believable story. I do like a little bit of realism in even fictional shows because it's something that keeps it's something that keeps me attached to it. If there's no realism, then how can I relate to it? Like, I understand what's happening in the show because I have experienced it in real life, or I understand that it can happen in real life. But if you look at Ranger, it's a complete fantasy that just happens to be set in modern day Japan. So yeah, that's something that I really didn't like with the concept. Again, it's fresh, it's interesting, it's in its own way, but it really doesn't hit the mark because it's not as relatable as, let's say, other Super Sentai shows that have people in them living in a very similar time as I am, experiencing the same things that I do, things like that. So, in that regard, Ranger honestly was weak, right? So, in that regard, Ranger was weak. But again, it's not a show that I would hate. So, there's that. And yeah, that's basically my criticism. But overall, Ranger again has a lot of things going for it, and come to think of it, like right now with Power Rangers, so Nickelodeon just announced that season 2 of Dino Fury is coming out. So it's interesting to see that Dino Fury season 2 is coming out in 2022. So again, it is a Dino based Power Ranger season, of course, based on Soldier, but coming out on, let's say, the year that marks the 30th anniversary of the first ever Dino themed Super Sentai. So it's really an interesting coincidence. I don't think really that it was meant to be. I think that this was pure coincidence, but a very interesting one at that, to say the least. So it's really nice. And I guess one of the things that I like about Ranger outside of the show is that the fact that the actors of both Ranger and the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers are very close to each other. So they do prove that it is possible for, the East and West to be together and have a really nice and peaceful relationship. It's just that the fandom is divided. I could talk about that, but I don't want any more drama, really. But again, seeing that the actors are close to each other, or have at least interacted, especially through Power Morphicon. So big props to the organizers of Power Morphicon for actually bringing, both worlds together and showing everyone that together the power is stronger. So yeah, big props to you guys, and thank you so much for doing that, really. So yeah, during your 30th anniversary. Uh, of course, it would be interesting to see the cast, at least have an event. They probably could do that. I'm not entirely sure, but because, the entire Ranger cast, they have shown that they appreciate the support from fans, especially from overseas. So knowing that they, I'm hoping that they do have a 30th anniversary event. I'd be interested in checking that out. Maybe even if I can't go, at least I want to see some news about it. So yeah, Ranger, show that changed my life, at least indirectly, because it really was Power Rangers that I grew up with. But again, I have seen Ranger at least, and it's very again interesting in its own way. There are its own. It has its own charms, but of course it has its own flaws. But I guess those charms and flaws are what make Ranger Ranger. So if you haven't seen Ranger yet, I highly recommend watching it. So, well, you can find it over the internet, or if you can find like DVDs of it, so go ahead and buy them if you can. But by all means, go ahead and watch Zyuranger and enjoy it as it is, right? So yeah, this has been, I think this is all I can say for this video. So thank you so much for watching. And as always, if you did enjoy this video, please do leave a like and tell us in the comments your memories of Zyuranger. So have you seen Zyuranger, or do you remember more of the Power Rangers? That's fine. Tell us in the comments. So also, don't forget to share this video, subscribe, and don't forget that notification bell so you get the latest from JE Fusion. This has been Philip, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy 30th anniversary, Zyuranger. Jiran is here. Bye.